Okay, so we got all of our cucumbers washed up and we are getting them cut. We're doing some of them in little chunks, the ones that are smaller, and then we're doing some of them in spears, the ones that are longer. And these are our washed and sterilized jars. So that is the first step of us getting ready to make pickles. Okay, so these are my 8 jars, and these were just from the cucumbers that were left over from my mama's garden. And I took the leftover ones and I got 8 jars to make some yummy pickles. Okay, so we are going to be using the Mrs.Wages Kosher Dill Pickles, and this is the one my mama used this year, and it was very, very yummy. So we're going to have our pickles, then we have 3 1/3 cup of distilled vinegar, and then 7 1/3 cup water, and then 1 pouch of this, and then our pickles. So we are going to be getting these all prepared and processed, and they should be turned out pretty good because hers turned out delicious. All right, so we're going to do our vinegar first. How much was that?
It says 3 1/3 cups of distilled vinegar, 5% acidity.
Okay.
And I'm just going to pour it in here. Because sometimes when I'm doing this, the phone will ring or something and I forget what I'm on.
Mm-hmm. It's weird having a third, isn't it? Mm-hmm. The other thing had a third too.
Mm-hmm. And so now I can move this over into the saucepan. And then we're gonna put 7 1/3 cups of water.
That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
We'll probably have a little extra juice, won't we?
Yeah, and I'm gonna try some of that on those okras and see what it tastes like. I don't know.
I think it might be good. I mean, it kind of turned out good for the pickles.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all see how Mama is turning off the water each time? Because well water is a precious commodity.
We're on
and a filter.
We're on a filter thing, and
it's expensive for
expensive.
The solution
in
in
it. He's coming out today to change the filters and all that kind of stuff, and it runs about $350.
Mm-hmm.
It lasts about 6 months.
You have to have a lot of big pots to do pickles and stuff in.
See what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the phone ringing,
there's your phone ringing.
You'll forget what you're on.
So this is what I wanted to see what it looks like. Oh.
I was telling.
Oh, it smells
I was telling
really
you
good.
It's got turmeric in it.
Oh, it does smell good. And dill. That has all your spices in there.
You don't have to put anything else in there than the vinegar and water.
And
if I'd known it was this easy, I'd been doing them a long time ago.
I know.
I didn't know. Nobody
so when we were
me.
growing up, Mama only made sweet pickles because she made dill pickles one time and she said they tasted terrible and she was never going to do that again.
And they were awful.
And so this year she was like, well, let me try one of these little packs. So I got this little pack at Tractor Supply, but you got yours at
Walmart.
At Walmart?
Mm-hmm.
And we saw them at Piggly Wiggly too.
Yeah, they were out of the kosher ones now. I think they still had maybe a bread and butter left and maybe a sweet pickle mix. But you just bring this to a boil.
Well, that's easy.
And then when it gets to a boil, then we'll put in that. I'll have to go downstairs and get my big pressure canner so I can use the bottom to do your water bath.
I'll go get that for you.
You're getting a little bit? Okay.
Okay, so I went downstairs and got the big pressure cooker.
But I was telling her that we don't have to use this on these pickles. It just calls for a hot water bath for 10 minutes. And what that means is you have boiling water in here. And you're going to have it where it just covers over the tops of your jars. And for these pickles, for the pints, they just have to process 10 minutes.
That's it?
That's it.
Wow.
And then, but I went ahead and on this, I went ahead and wrote, because this canner came with different weights. And for the green beans and squash, it uses a 10-pound. This is called a 10-pound weight. And then it has 2 other weights. Because like if you do meat and different things like that, you have to have a heavier weight.
Have a heavier weight, okay.
So I went ahead and wrote on the box that you vent it for 10 minutes, which means that on the top of your cannon lid, it's got a little vent. And when the steam starts coming out of it, after you seal it up, you let it go for 10 minutes, and then you put your weight on there. And then when it brings up the pressure and it starts doing its little jiggle thing, jiggle, 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 you process it for 20 minutes for a pint on squash and green beans. They cook for the same amount of time. So I know one time I had a little bit of squash and green beans left over, and I just put them together in the canner and did them together. So that's what it looks like.
Cool. This is a newer one.
Yeah, this was bought 4 years ago.
Is your old one? It had wooden handles on it.
Yeah, the seal has gotten bad on it.
It was green, the original green. Actually, you still have one pot that's green. Her old pressure canner was like a green color. And this was the green that I grew up with as a kid. Everything was green in our kitchen. The oven, the stove, the refrigerator. From the 70s. And then your first house was everything gold?
Well, I had one gold bathroom and one green one.
What about your kitchen? What was your appliances?
It was green.
It was green. Green, green, green.
But I was in style, honey.
It was like you could either do green, gold, or that red color. That was the style back then.
Yeah.
Long carpet. Shaggy carpet. Ooh. You don't even know what's hiding in that stuff.
You probably don't want to know. Oh, gosh.
So you just have to bring this up to a boil? Is that just all the spices sitting on top? Oh, it looks like almost like chili flakes. Oh, it is chili flakes. Oh, that's neat.
I think it's maybe a little garlic.
Oh, garlic. Yeah. That is
garlic.
That is garlic.
And that is probably a little pepper flakes.
Yeah.
But you can smell the turmeric.
That turmeric's supposed to be good for your joints. Helps with inflammation.
Let's see what it says it's in here. Let's see.
Make you cough.
If I can read it.
It's so
Salt.
tiny.
Something other. Dehydrated garlic. Spice. Extracted. Includes turmeric.
Turmeric extract, mustard oil, and citric acid.
That's
It
what
don't really have much in it, does it? And then you got the acidity of the vinegar. And then you just got a lot of water in there. And that's how you make pickles.
I gotta get your lids out, the rims out.
Okay, so what are we doing now?
Okay, we're getting ready to bring that water to a boil so we can put your canning jar lids in there.
So we always use fresh ones?
Yeah, you have to use fresh ones.
Okay, so we always use our fresh canning lids. And these are from Walmart here, because you always want to make sure that you have a good seal. And these little seals here, they get old over time. So you just want to have fresh ones each time you make a fresh batch. And our solution, our brine, is starting to boil. You have lots of gadgets when you're doing pickles or canning.
Yeah.
So Mama got a towel. So she said this helps to keep your jars from cracking when you pour the hot liquid in there. And then she's got this little jar lifter here.
I gotta get some water on to start getting it hot
for the hot water bath. And then this is a little what do you call those things? Funnel.
A little funnel.
It's a big funnel though.
Yeah, a little funnel.
funnel. So that keeps you from getting liquid all everywhere. All right, so our lids are going down into the bath right now, so we can get them sterilized, get them ready to go. It's like an assembly line.
And they said to put a little vinegar in your water to keep it from getting the, you know, the hard water scales.
From the outside on your. Yeah, I've heard that too. Because you can see how the water will kind of scale up on there. So just like a little splash of vinegar with the water.
I think they said a tablespoon. We just put water.
Yeah.
That's probably good enough.
There you go. Ooh, look at that big old pot. Mama, it makes your stove look tiny.
I know it. You almost need
a bigger stove.
A bigger stove and a bigger kitchen when you're fooling with all this canning stuff.
Some people have canning kitchens where they'll keep all of their jars and all their big pots.
You know,
and
we watch Amy on her little cooking show, and she has a little house that she goes to with her canning.
Yeah. Well, then it keeps the mess out of your kitchen and the heat because it gets hot.
Yeah, she about burns up in her little canning thing. I think she just has a little window unit down there.
I need a better air conditioner. So this is the setup, guys. It's like a little assembly line when you're canning food here.
Yeah.
And then you have to keep an eye on everything. I guess our lids are doing good. So you just want to bring the lids up to a boil? Okay.
Want to get our rings down.
Oh yeah, the rings are up there. I'll grab the rings.
You have to have so much stuff to do this stuff. When you don't have
a lot of space.
I was telling you about the little rental house we have that the lady evidently must have kept her canned goods that she put up underneath the house. It's just a little small house, and she didn't have a pantry or anything. And so when we bought the house, there was all kind of empty jars and boxes and stuff underneath her house. And I wouldn't doubt that she just didn't take her green beans and squash and whatever else she had canned, tomatoes and stuff, and just kept them underneath the house.
Kept them cool and dark.
Cool and dark, and just.
Might be a little easier if you had an elevator to get down to the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be easier. You could have like a little cart.
Yeah, what I usually do when I'm here by myself is I use my car.
Put it in your car, then drive it around to the basement. That makes sense.
I can go up steps all right, but I still have a hard time going down them after I broke my leg.
So my mama's had 2 hip replacements, and she had her femur to break. So she has a good time, right, Mama?
They put 3 screws in the side of my leg and the side of my knee. I can bend it pretty good, but it still don't like to go down.
Yeah. I think you're doing great for what you've had done.
I know it. Tell you.
I'll get those rings for you. So she has a little thing down in the bottom to keep it from hitting the bottom.
You're not supposed to set your jars directly on the bottom of
But then she had a jar to break, and this is what she's always done, is to put a cloth in there. So that keeps them from hitting the bottom and getting jiggly.
Yeah.
And hopefully will prevent any of them from breaking.
Yeah, because you've done a lot of work to get to this point. You don't want to break your jars. And these jars are like, some of them are ancient.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to know how old they are, too. You don't know until one breaks.
I did buy 12 paint jars at Walmart last year around Christmas time. I guess it was after Thanksgiving. They'd marked them down to $5 a thing.
That's not bad at all. That's when you need to find them.
Yeah, you could buy them and give them to people that can and stuff for gifts.
Yeah, for Christmas gifts.
Because how you buy your rings and your seals and all like that. Well, so you buy the jars in the store, they come with all that.
So if anybody ever gifts you a canned good, always make sure you give them back their jars, because these add up.
Yeah. 2, 4.
Looks like you're running experiments over here.
All right. So now we're ready to... All right. So this has been brought to a boil.
Mm-hmm.
Use my
And we're
cup.
bringing this water to a boil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And so they usually tell you to leave a 1/2 inch headspace.
So that means from the top of the jar,
Yeah.
1/2 inch down that way. That's what headspace is. Some people have the little fancy measuring stick.
Oh, I know.
We just kind of eyeball it. But also, Mama, you know the towel helps with
Uh-huh.
in case you make a mess.
That's right. You wash it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it going everywhere.
We were at the ice cream store the other day, and they had some pickled okra, which I love to eat pickled okra, but I've never made it. And so I'm gonna try it, but I was looking at what they had it in, and it looked a whole lot like this mixture we're using right here.
Mm-hmm.
So I told Janae if she had something, we had some left over, we were gonna try a jar with it and see what it.
Tastes like. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to try. We got okra coming out our ears.
He's having to pick it like every other day.
Mm-hmm. And at the peach place, they were like, what, $3
$3 a
a pound for okra?
And they had some pickled okra, and they were selling it for like $8.50 a pint. I told Janae, I said, that's not a bad price, really. You got $1 in your jar.
Mm-hmm. And then you had to grow the okra, and then you had to do this, process it. I don't know. Are we going to have enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're going to do just
Okay.
right.
It's just amazing to me that, I don't know, you just think it would have to have so much more to make it.
I know, and I was surprised that these were this easy.
Because, like, your sweet pickles, you have to,
Soak them in lime water.
in lime water for
Wash
how
them,
many
wash them.
days?
Just 24 hours.
24 hours. Then you have to wash them.
Wash them 3 times, and then on the 4th time you soak them in ice water bath for like 3 hours.
I know. I just remember your sweet pickles just being a process growing up. This is so much faster.
And this you can eat these tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
We're going to have to try a jar.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's been making this little low-carb snack where they take pickles and they grind them up, and then they add an egg and some cheese, and then they bake it or put it in their waffle iron, like the little mini waffle irons, and then they dip it in ranch dressing. I might could try something like that for a little snack.
It says to always take a paper towel and dampen it with some vinegar
Yeah, so a paper towel dampened with some vinegar,
to wipe the tops of your jar before you
wipe.
put your seals on.
wipe the lids. It probably would be pretty with a little dill floating in there, wouldn't it? It's pretty. That's my jar with all the little pickles.
That's her fancy jar.
Isn't that cute?
That's going to cut me clean. She's going to get that one out. Right. So wipe our jars.
A little bit of vinegar. Gets them all clean. Ooh, that does get your lungs a little coughing though.
Yeah, it does.
All that vinegar.
That vinegar will open you up.
I have to wipe them off just a little bit.
This is just a dry paper towel.
Because the biggest thing when you're canning is making sure everything is sealed good, because that keeps the you from like getting, was it botulism?
Yeah. I don't think you're going to get botulism from something that's got vinegar and stuff in it, I don't think.
Like Mary Berry says, she has asbestos fingers, so she can pick up things that are hot like that.
Who does?
Mary Berry, when she was on the British baking show, people would say, "Oh, how do you pick up something that's so hot?" She said, "Asbestos fingers."
You don't want to over tighten your jars, but you just want them. You know, you don't want them.
Yeah, crank them down, but you don't want them on there secure. Okay, so you take one lid and pop it onto the jar. Make sure it's on there centered. Yep, there you go. And then you take your little lid and you just, they call finger tightening.
You want to make sure it's not
Cattywampus.
Yeah, make sure it starts right.
Yeah, because if you don't get a good seal, you won't get that good pop. And that's how you know if they're sealed, when they pop.
Yeah, but Mrs.Wages has definitely making these kind of pickles very easy. I mean,
anybody can do it, really.
You know, they're pretty expensive when you go buy a jar of kosher dills. And so, you know,
So
people have cucumbers.
Yeah, but if you weren't growing a garden, you didn't have cucumbers, you can buy cucumbers, in the store.
I bought some from Aldi's in January because I thought I was going to run out before the garden came in. And so I made some sweet pickles with Aldi's pickles. I mean, Aldi's cucumbers.
Yeah,
they weren't.
I think a lot of people think they have to have them fresh from the garden, but you can get them from the grocery store.
No.
Make your own pickles.
It's like that salsa recipe we were looking at that you've got. It says you can use diced canned tomatoes. But I didn't realize when she talked the recipe that it makes so much.
I think it's because it's for canning. You're supposed to can the salsa. We don't have any more jars.
We got a few. You said we had what, 3?
I don't think that one went on very good.
You said we had what, 3 quarts left? 3-quart jars left down in the basement.
These were all of our. No, we have the quart ones are bigger, right?
Yeah.
We had 9 of those.
9 of those. I don't want to cough into it.
Okay, so we had to do a little surgery on one jar because that jar was not wanting to cut close. So we put it in a different jar. We're reboiling our lid here. And Mom is taking the pickles and putting them down into the hot water bath. Giving them a little swim. And it holds 7, right?
So I'm going to have an oddball jar.
Yeah. It's okay. So if you start canning, you definitely need one of these grabbers.
Yeah, you gotta have.
And you gotta have the big canning pot.
Yeah.
You can use a regular pot for this, like you would make spaghetti in. So you could get started relatively inexpensive. I know some people do sell these pressure canners, like on Facebook Marketplace, but you just want to make sure it's got good seals. That's the thing with it. So that's kind of how they should look, guys. See, water over all of them, but not like overflowing.
I might get that last one in there, Jeanette.
Might be able to.
I think so. Maybe it's 7 quarts. It might be 8 pints.
Okay. Well, we can get the lids taken out and put this one in here. Maybe it'll fit.
Yeah, that'd be good. You already wiped it.
I haven't wiped it yet.
You haven't?
Sorry.
That's all right.
Hopefully it'll fit on there.
Yeah, I asked my husband when I said, when I run out of jars, can I quit canning? We have that garden. Oh, tell them what your daddy did yesterday.
He planted, I don't even know how much sweet potatoes. 4 flats?
Yeah.
4 flats of sweet potatoes. And then 2 bags of different types of beans, peas or something.
butter peas and
Butter-
zipper peas. He wanted some purple hull crowder peas, but they were out of them. This is late in the season to be getting your seeds. So
Oh yeah, it's gonna have a lot of peas. Where are you gonna put those at? You might have to go buy more jars.
let's buy some jars and cans. The freezer's full.
I know, freezer's full.
So anyway, it takes a lot of food for 2 people.
Oh my gosh.
So when this starts to boil, we're going to set the timer for 10 minutes, and then we're going to just let them sit and cool off a little bit before we take them out.
So you don't have to pressure can these.
No, these are just
hot water bath.
And it says for a pint you do 10 minutes, and for a quart you do 15.
Okay.
I think that's what it says. I know it's 10 for the pint. 15 for the quarts.
Okay, so we'll let you guys know when these get finished and we'll show you what they look like. Okay, so they finally came to a boil. And then what are we doing now? Timing them? Okay. So we got a little timer going. And we'll get these timed. This is what they look like. Nothing fancy, guys. That's like a little tiny jar right there.
These that are big, I'm just setting aside and I'll check them
Okay.
to see if I can make some cut off loafry with them. There's your timer.
There's my timer. What do we do now?
Just turn off the heat
Okay.
and let it sit for a little while. Cool
Okay.
off a little bit. And then
Okie dokie.
And now the hot water bath.
And then as they start to cool, is that when the little lid will pop?
They start sitting.
They're really pretty.
You did a good job.
Thank you, Mama. I think I could make these at home. I just have to get a bigger pot. I don't have a pot this big.
That's the only thing.
And then where do you store it? I don't have a basement. I just have to put it in the garage.
Put it in the garage. Like them people did.
Put it under the house.
Stick the box, stick it on the house. That's a pretty jar.
That is pretty. It's neat how they all kind of want to float up.
So you started on these, what, about 8:30?
Mm-hmm.
And so by 10:30 she has 8 jars of Kosher Dills made.
Mm-hmm. And this will last my family 1 month.
Maybe.
Maybe. I think they eat like a jar a week.
Well, that's good.
They love pickles.
It says that these need to be eaten within 18 months.
18 months? Okay.
So,
Yeah, we won't have any problem with that.
you know,
Okay, y'all. So our pickles are all finished. And look how beautiful they look. And this is just using the Mrs.Wages. This is the brand. This is for the salsa, but Mrs.Wages. And their little kosher dill pickling mix. And I'll put a link down below to that. And then here is our okra. So it is looking beautiful as well. One of them we used the Mrs.Wages, and then one of them had half, and then the other ones had the mixture of just the vinegar, water, and spices. So I'm very interested in trying these and see how they taste. So we will try one of those tomorrow. So they look absolutely delicious.